I'm thinking it's ServiceNow, which I am a little bit familiar with, but I just want to double check and see if I need to have anything in particular for training. Okay, sounds good. Yes, thank you. You too, bye. Okay. Did I finish washing my hands? Yes, I did. I obviously just got some really good news. I don't know if I'm going to talk about it in this video because I am filming a video today, but it wasn't going to be about this. So we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll just have to film 2 videos today.
What's up, y'all? It is Childlike Kate back with a new video and back in my pink chair, which you can't see because of my jacket. Hold on. Okay, let's do that again. What's up, y'all? It's Childlike Kate back with a new video and back in my pink chair, which you can see now. So I was going to record a different video, but I'm just in really high spirits today, so I don't know if that video would translate to everything else that's been filmed today. So we're just gonna change the subject and I'm gonna tell you why I'm in such good spirits. Okay, so in the last video that you heard from me 2 months ago, I told you about my new job offer in tech and how I would be working as an implementation consultant. At the time of applying and interviewing and taking the job, I wasn't exactly sure what it would entail, but I was pretty confident that I would end up getting the job based on the job description. Well, on day 1 of my new job, I was like, I really like this company, but I think I'm really going to hate this role. And I was right. I wanted nothing to do with being an HR and payroll implementation consultant. But one thing I liked about the company is that they allow you to move around and figure out what you like, what you don't like, try new roles, try new responsibilities, so you can kind of direct and guide your career to what will hopefully end in a career that you end up loving. And that was the little piece of hope that kept me holding on for the time that I did. But I literally started looking for jobs on the first day. Like, as soon as new employee orientation ended, I opened up my computer and started looking for a new job. I kept studying, I started learning data analysis, I kept learning on Salesforce, and in the meantime I just kept applying for jobs. And in my search I ended up coming across a company called skillstorm, and it's pretty similar to revature, where they accept talent, tech talent, and train them for the job. So you don't have to have a tech background, but you do have to have a little bit more knowledge than revature required. Because I went through the interview process, and the last step of the interview process was a technical interview, which is really similar to the QCs that we used to do at revature. So with that, you definitely do need to have a pretty good understanding of object-oriented programming, which thankfully I did learn while at revature and in my own studies. So I was able to answer the questions pretty well. And even from my studies when I was trying to get a second bachelor's degree in computer science helped out, because my algorithm question was a binary search question. So I went through that entire process and I passed the technical assessment. So then after that kind of became a waiting game of finding a company to work for. So let's talk about the differences between this new company, skillstorm, and revature. So if you watched my other videos about revature, like some of the first ones, maybe those first 2, then you know that with revature you go through the interview process, a pretty easy technical interview. You have a little bit of an assessment. Once you're hired and you sign your offer letter, you begin training. You sign a contract for 2 years. During the time of training, you're paid minimum wage for the county where you live. And then after training, you have to go through what's called nesting, where you're interviewing with clients of revature, so that you can be assigned a project. Once you're assigned on a project, you make either $55,000 a year or $65,000 a year for your first year. And the amount you get depends on the cost of living, I think where the company is based, not where you live, but I wouldn't know because I didn't make it that far. So that's all the details about revature. Now skillstorm, the company that I am now working with and I'm so excited about. let's rewind a little bit. First of all, if any of this is piquing your curiosity, you should just go do your own research about both companies. So with skillstorm, you go through the whole interview process and you have to pass all of those technical evaluations and interviews and whatnot. After you get through that, you are then assigned a job. So here's where the difference lies with skillstorm and revature. Skillstorm has regions where they operate, I guess where their clients are, and I don't remember all of them that the recruiter named during that first conversation we had, but I know that they include New York, Florida, Texas, and Georgia. I might be lying about Florida. I do also recall her saying California. When it comes time to accept a role, you can choose if you want to take that role or not. They don't just automatically assign it to you. So you don't have to move to Washington, D.C. if you don't want to. You don't have to go to Texas if you live in Idaho and would rather stay in Idaho. That's if they have jobs in Idaho. Let me correct that. It made a difference for me because I do live somewhere where they have clients and they have a region here in Georgia, in Atlanta. So I wanted to be able to stay in Atlanta. Also, another difference with skillstorm is that during training, you are not paid minimum wage. You are paid $20 an hour, standard for no matter where you are. Yeah, you're paid $20 for the time that you're in training. Once you begin the work with the company that you sign on to work for, you go up to either $27.50 an hour or $32.50 an hour, depending on cost of living where that company is. Similar to revature, you do complete the training period at home remotely on your own personal computer, but once you begin working for whatever company you work for, they either send you your equipment or you have to relocate to where their office is depending on the requirements for the job. Like revature, if you don't fulfill your 2-year contract, you do owe money for the training, so that is also something to keep in mind if you do decide to look into skillstorm. I honestly can't remember how I found skillstorm, but I know I was looking for more opportunities like revature. I actually reapplied to revature but didn't hear back because I'm pretty sure because I haven't reached the 6-month mark yet since I left. But I'm honestly thankful because I feel like I'm getting a better deal this time. After speaking with the recruiter and finding out what my interests are, she told me I would be receiving an email that contained study materials for a coding assessment that I would need to complete within a certain time frame. I just had to call her to schedule when I wanted to do it. And for this coding assessment, it was going to be multiple choice with some coding questions on there where you're just like reading the code and you have to answer the question based off of what you see, and other questions primarily based on object-oriented programming. So she sent over study materials so you can prepare before taking the coding assessment, and then I emailed her to let her know when I was ready to take the coding assessment and set up a window, because it's actually proctored with a little camera. I don't know if you guys ever had proctored assessments in school, but your camera's on and your browser is being monitored. You have to close all of your windows. It's like, oh, you're looking off to the side for too long. Oh, I hear a voice talking. Are you cheating? So yeah, that was pretty interesting, but it let me know that they were pretty serious about the talent that they are accepting into their talent pool. I took it on a Friday or a Saturday, and my recruiter reached out to me on Monday. She let me know that I passed and that the next step would be a technical interview with one of the trainers at skillstorm. So we scheduled that, and she sent me some information on how to be best prepared, that I should prepare a kind of like elevator pitch, because that would be the very first thing that I did once getting on the call. And she also mentioned that it was a requirement to dress business professional, so a button down, well, a blouse and a blazer for women. And if you did not dress business professional, you could potentially be automatically declined, or you're gonna like receive a few marks down for how you showed up to the interview. So I sat down for the interview with my interviewer, and he said, you know, well, let's start off with you telling me about yourself. And I was like, my pitch is ready. And so I gave him my little 1-minute spiel, and I could see him kind of nodding and smiling and following along. So I was like, okay, we're doing well. I can't say that I was 100% sure about every question, but I feel like the way I answered helped me out, because even questions that I was not sure about, I kind of directed him to something that I was sure about. I think he was maybe a little shocked, or maybe even a little impressed. I don't know. I feel like I'm bragging, and that's not what I'm trying to do, but I feel like I made a good impression being able to answer certain questions, like about big O notation. Even though I couldn't necessarily answer it right off the bat, he kind of had to like lead me. Like first he asked me a question, I'm like, okay, you're talking about big O notation, and then he's like, okay, so what's big O notation? And I was like, well, it has to do with this and this and this. And he was like, okay, so if I have this and this, what does this represent? And I was like, oh, it means da 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 da. So he kind of had to lead me on some of the answers, but I think in doing so, we were able to talk through it, and he could see that, you know, I did have some understanding on the topics. Some of the last question, he was like, can you tell me? He was like, and he knew he was throwing me for a loop, because he was like, perchance, could you tell me the difference between alabada and gadabada? And I must have made a face, because he laughed and was like, it's cool. But I was like, I cannot tell you that, because I don't know, basically. But we had a good time. I feel like we connected well. And he left some time at the end for me to ask some questions. So I asked him about training, and he told me about Appian, which is what he usually teaches. And yeah, he said that he would pass on his remarks to my recruiter, and that she would reach out to me in the coming days with next steps. Well, not even an hour later, my recruiter calls me to let me know that I passed, and that they had just received word on a new job that day where the developer would be working with Appian, but it's based in Washington, D.C. The pay would be $32.50 an hour, so around $67,000 a year. But it would require relocation to DC. It was a government job, so security clearance is required, but Skillstorm would sponsor that. Yeah, I think that's all the details. Before all this, she and I had a conversation about their different regions, and she knew that I was in Georgia, and I told her that I would prefer to stay in Georgia. So she knew that already when she told me about the DC job, but I think she just wanted to let me know what was on the table, you know, just so I'm aware of all of my options. And so in doing that, she did also say, you don't have to take this opportunity if it's not something that you're excited about. We can wait till more opportunities become available and see if there's one in your area. Go from there. I was like, okay, cool, that's awesome. So I will think about it and let you know, because honestly I was excited to have another opportunity to get into software development, but I did not want to have to relocate to DC. So I eventually ended up letting her know that I would rather wait to see what other opportunities come available, and she told me it would be like mid-August, so that was like 3 weeks I think from the time that I found out that I passed and, you know, would be able to move forward into next steps. Today is actually August 4th. I had reached out to the recruiter earlier this week, maybe Monday or Tuesday, to see if there were any other openings available besides DC, and if not, when would be the latest opportunity to accept the DC offer. She said at the time there's nothing open, and the latest that I could accept the DC offer would be August 19th. So I'm like, okay, I'll give it 2 more weeks. Well, she called me today. As you can see my reaction, at the start of the video, probably, because I think I'm gonna put it there. She called me today and let me know that there are openings in Atlanta, and as soon as it came across her desk, her inbox, whatever, she immediately was like, let me call Kaylin and let her know, so she's like the first on the list. So I'm so thankful for that. So this new opportunity is in Atlanta, Georgia. It is a hybrid role where you work remotely most of the time and you have to go into the office maybe like once a month. Atlanta is considered a lower cost of living city, even though I don't think it's low cost of living. But it is considered a lower cost of living city. So the pay is $10,000 less than I would have gotten in DC at like $27.65 an hour to start. So that's about $57,000 a year, a little more than $57,000 a year. But I'm okay with that because I have new perspective after going through the whole thing with revature and being like, oh well, I can, you know, study here or there and get a job and make more money in my first year. Well, I would rather get my foot in the door and get the experience, and then the experience is worth more than the money in the beginning. Saying that in a recession. With this job, I will be a ServiceNow developer, and actually when I was sitting down to record and eat, I received a text from her to say, hey, the role that we're getting you into now is high level coding. Are you okay with that, or would you want something that's less coding? And I'm like, oh, I'm okay with a lot of coding, but if I have options, I would like to take a look at all of them. So she said that she would send me over the curriculum for the other option, and the other option, it says ServiceNow ITX/HR consultant, which is similar to what I'm coming out of as an implementation consultant. That's what the job title sounds like. But she says that they're she says they're both developer roles, ServiceNow developer roles, just that the one that is more high level coding is Pega, and the lower level one is not. So we'll see. But she advised that she would want me to do really well in the training period because there are assessments every week during training, and so we decided to go with the lower level coding. It would be the same pay for either role anyway, so honestly that makes more sense, but it's the same pay for both roles. So I decided to take the second option that came through, which does not include Pega and says that it's low coding required or something. I don't know, we'll see. So I'm very happy to accept my role here in Atlanta, learning ServiceNow, which is in demand, still learning development, still getting to do what I want to do and take my career in the direction that I wanted to go. And I'm super excited to document the process for you guys, because if anybody knows me, they know if I don't like a job, I'm a queen. Okay. I honestly don't know if I covered everything that I wanted to cover in this video, or if I even said too much, because I just decided to film it on the fly after getting the good news today. So I'm not exactly sure how to close this out, but I am so excited to be back on YouTube. I'm gonna be uploading videos weekly. I am. And really documenting this journey for you guys, also including more lifestyle content and sharing the progress of building my business, because that's what I'm going to be focusing on during this time before my new job starts, because I have already resigned from my other role. Could not stay, could not. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Go ahead, like and subscribe if you would like to see more, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.